I'd like to call this meeting to order. I saw Jean a second ago. I assume she's still on?
Yep, I'm here.
Yep.
Okay, great.
You do get, if you switch to gallery view, you should be able to see all of us.
Yeah, I see her now. So, okay, calling this meeting to order, whatever time Lynette says it is.
5:35.
5:35. Announcements. Virtual meetings of the library trustees are generally recorded for transmission on both the Berlin Cable Television Access Channel and YouTube. Your voice and image may be recorded. And now I think I have to do the longer announcement. Introduction to meeting. This is the Tuesday, May 12th, 2020 meeting of the Berlin Library Trustees. As a preliminary matter, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. This is Charlene DeCalagero, Chair of the Library Trustees. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me prior to me calling the meeting to order. Well, whatever. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lynette Wheeler.
I'm here.
Jeannie Mitchell.
Here.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Bob Hodge, Library Director.
Here.
Excellent. I do not believe we have any anticipated speakers on the agenda. If there is somebody else on this call who wants to speak, it would be good to let me know this now. Okay, hearing no one. With a quorum of the trustees present, I call this meeting to order at 5:35 p.m. on Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. This open meeting of the Library Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Berlin website at www.townofberlin.com. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings at a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, provided reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. While no in-person attendance of members of the public is permitted, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio-video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. The standard public comment portion of this meeting will accommodate limited public comment. For this meeting, the library trustees are convening using the Zoom platform as posted on the agenda, identifying how the public may join. Meeting materials, the public is encouraged to follow along during this meeting using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Supporting materials that are available this evening to members of the library trustees can be made available to the public by request. Meeting business ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will invite each board member by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Trustees and speakers on the agenda, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with each other, please do so through me, taking care to identify yourself. Public comment portion. of the agenda. To the extent that our technical capability allows, public comment will be permitted during the public comment portion of this meeting as follows. Attendees' phones and other devices will be muted unless and until they raise their hand and are recognized by me to speak. I ask each member of the public who wishes to speak to identify their name, and I will afford each speaker time to ask a question or make a brief comment. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Okay, now I need to get back to, here we go. Here you all are. Thank you so much. And great. So, so that was the announcement. Review previous meeting minutes, issues with minutes being posted. I will reverse that slightly. I noted that the February minutes have now been posted. Thanks so much, Lynette. I believe that you did that.
Yes, I did.
Thank you so much.
They're all on there. I have a quick question too.
Sure.
Where we're listing who's in attendance, are we listing who's supporting the meeting?
I don't think it would hurt. I mean, they're
Last
not
time I put
really.
it was Leanne.
Yeah.
But like today it's Margaret, but it's not Margaret, it's Mary. So.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fine. And you could put that specifically, Zoom support provided by. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So yay for February minutes being up. March minutes review. Does anybody have any comments? I think I might have one on the March 10th. I have to pull it up, which my laptop is not the size of my desktop, so this is tricky. Jean, do you have anything?
I do not on the minutes. They were fine with me.
Okay. Bob, do you have anything?
I don't. No.
Okay. Let me just do a quick scroll down. Yeah, I had a few things sort of mostly for clarification, and one that I actually didn't understand what it was, so I'm hoping somebody can explain to me.
Okay.
So under the director's report B, you have me asking a question, was sick leave discussed? I think a question mark at the end of that would be.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to insert for clarity in that same section where I spoke, I will email select board and town admin resupporting our, and if you could insert the word professional, supporting our professional staff. And then it says that doesn't have sick leave. And instead of with, I would like it to say by using surplus wages and salaries, and insert to pay sick leave. And then a bunch of words that I'm fine with, to pay, consider finding funds for staff without sick leave if we don't have, and instead of it, have enough. I can email you this stuff afterwards, Lynette.
Okay.
So you don't need to take time, but those were the changes there. C, policy for health meeting, March 17th, 2020. I don't know what that's referring to, and I don't
That
see
was
it
the
in my
meeting.
calendar.
That was the meeting that we were going to get together and write up the policy for the health, and then it was canceled, right?
Okay, okay. So this is our own meeting that it was talking about?
This was to talk about the thing that you wrote up.
Okay, okay, so I think it probably should say pandemic policy meeting, comma, trustees. Just because I literally didn't know what that was. And then in the financial report, I didn't know what TY and LY numbers? I don't know what those abbreviations mean.
This year and last year.
Okay, if you could actually spell that out, because I don't usually see that. So that helps. And then I have some things to add under state advocacy, just that I was also at the legislative breakfast. And a little clarification of who we were trying to get to go to the April 2nd legislative day, which I know got pushed off. So, you know, I'll send it to you, but I just wanted to clarify that we were, you know, looking to get friends of the library and supporters to attend rather than just our personal friends.
I see in my notes, I wrote get friends. And as soon as you said that, I was like, that's what that was.
Yes. Yes, that's what that was. So, and under trustee concerns, we need to start recruiting. And I think what we said was probably start recruiting interested candidates rather than the right candidates. Basically, any candidate,
Okay.
as long as they live in Berlin, is the right candidate. But yeah, and again, I can send this to you afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, so I move to accept the March 10th, 2020 minutes as amended. Who will second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jean Mitchell seconds. All in favor, roll call. Charlene DeCalagero, I'm in favor. Lynette Wheeler,
In favor.
Jeannie
In
Mitchell,
favor.
passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the March 31st minutes. Okay. So one thing here is to add at the top that this was a Zoom video conference call.
Okay.
Just so people know. And I am pretty sure we reviewed a director's report and then accepted it. And Bob, did we also review a financial report?
We didn't. I just put together a director's report just
It was like,
because we're a meeting. I figured I might as well catch you up. So
it wasn't really a director's report. It was just the stuff that we reviewed, the update on how he was operating. How he was,
yes.
it wasn't like, the director's report is in the April meeting. We had it in the March and in the April. It wasn't his monthly director's report. It was just kind of more like a director's update.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, why don't we call it that? I don't remember if we actually took a vote on accepting it.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, I did look at it more as it just being an update
Okay.
because it was not one of
No,
our
we
regular
didn't.
meetings.
Okay.
We didn't do any accepting or anything like that because I always write down that you move and whoever seconds. I
Okay.
always write it, and so it wasn't.
Okay.
We didn't do any of that.
Okay. Okay. And I know it was a short meeting,
Yeah.
but I was just like, I sort of went back and checked my agenda just because I was like, wow, that seems so short. But I think that's it on March 31st. So it's mostly about adding that it was a Zoom video conference.
Okay.
Okay, so I, Charlene DeCalagero, move to accept the March 31st minutes as amended. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jeannie Mitchell seconds. And move to accept. We're all accepting. Roll call. Charlene DeCalagero approves. Jeannie Mitchell,
Approves.
Lynette Wheeler.
Approved.
Okay, accepted unanimously. Great. and 4:21 minutes, which I don't even have open. Okay. Too many documents, not enough time. Okay, let's close this one. Save. And, okay. Okay, we're having technical challenges. Okay. 4:21. Okay. Anybody have, now I think I may have asked this already, but any feedback on the April 21st minutes?
No, I don't have any.
I don't have anything either. I'm good.
Okay. Again, I think just adding that this was a Zoom video conference is good idea. For one thing, it actually means people can actually go look up the recording. Okay. Financial report. Okay. Okay, COVID response. Okay. Okay, so I move to accept the April 21st minutes as amended. Can I get a second? I think
A second.
Lynette seconds. All those in favor by roll call. Charlene Caligero in favor. Jean Mitchell,
In favor.
Lynette Wheeler.
Favor.
Okay, we have unanimously approved all 3 minutes. And we are caught up, yay. All right, I hand it over to Bob Hodge, our library director, for the director's report.
Okay, I assume you all have a copy in hand.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about a few of these things. The MBLC did do a video conference on the adjustment to the state aid requirements. And there'll be a workshop June 10th, which will also be a video conference. And they've provided more time than in past years, just because there will be a lot of questions, I think, and also there may be quite a few more municipalities applying for waivers this time around. So I don't have a really good handle on how we're looking. I'm still crunching the numbers, and I did get another adjustment to the library's budget from the town administrator, Margaret. In terms of expenses, our cut will be less than what originally was projected. It looks like for wages, they are going to level fund wages, so we won't be getting the COLA adjustment that we had budgeted for FY21. Also in the email from Margaret, and I can't remember if I forwarded this to all of you, she did point out that she was, I had asked her about the library's budget being cut disproportionate to other departments, and she clarified that it would not be cut disproportionate. So if we do have to apply for the waiver, we will hopefully get the waiver and stay certified. So that's the overriding concern, on top of all the other issues that we're going to have with reopening. And so I have attended some meetings with other directors. We have one coming up Monday, just a few local libraries. I was contacted by the West Boylston Library Director, asked if I wanted to meet about reopening plans with her and the director in Bolton, and also in Marlborough's director. So I will just keep having these conversations. The Mass Library System and the MBLC are both weighing in with recommendations. But we don't have anything concrete at the moment. I think in Bolton, they have a plan to open in sort of stages, and they already have a plan to open, but I don't know when exactly. So as I find out more of information, I'll keep you posted.
Great.
Last week, we did have the people from the ADA, the town self-assessment of all the town buildings. They were scheduled to come on Thursday, so naturally they came on Monday. But luckily I was here and accommodated them. One of them was in a wheelchair. And so they were here for a couple of hours. They took a lot of photos, measurements. I tried to give them just the brief abstract of the history of the building and the things that we've been attempting to do as a director and trustees to try to improve the building and make it fully accessible. So they got an earful from me. And they also provided some information about potential grants that can be applied for. My question, these grant idea has come up in the past, but my question is always, how do they work with the MBLC style grant for renovation? So they have done some pretty large grants for older library buildings in the state. So I need to, keep following up on that. They're writing up a report, and we'll see what kind of recommendations they make, and they will make recommendations if there are grants available that might be suitable for us to apply for. I just got email from Evan Carloni today. I had noted that he was going to submit his plan electronically, but apparently he's sent it to the board and trying to schedule a meeting with them. So I just forwarded that email to you. I thought that you guys were copied on it, and I realized you weren't.
I
So
got
you
it.
have that in your box now. I just emailed it about an hour ago.
Yep.
What else is happening? We had our department head meeting this morning. Margaret did most of the talking. The rest of us just had some questions for her regarding the town budget going forward. She does want us to prepare a budget for just the month of July, just in case the FY21 budget does not get passed by June 30th. It's just a contingency plan, but that's something that she has asked for us to do. And the town does receive a significant portion of its budget from state aid. I think she mentioned it's around 20%. So let's see. I think that's about it, unless you have questions.
I have a question, but I'll wait. Jean, do you have any questions?
I did see the Institute of Library Services about their webinars.
Yes.
So I'm going to try and do the one this week, if not the one next week.
Okay, great. Yeah, in some of the other one, the first one they did is recorded and it's not available on the site if you just want to watch it. And I'll continue to forward anything I get concerning how to deal with reopening and I think that I sent some to you just this week.
Right. Lynette Wheeler, did you have any questions for Bob concerning the director's report?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so I have a question. Did the ADA visit people say when they might get that report back to us?
They didn't, no.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously we want to see that.
Yes.
And I'm hoping we would see it on, in time to discuss at the June meeting.
Right.
Another question I had about that, did you talk to them at all about the longer range plan to build a new building, in part because of accessibility issues?
Yeah, I tried to cover, the entire kind of history, the steps that have been taken so far to make the building more accessible. But, I think they could see right away that we had some big challenges.
Right, right.
I
But,
mean, the
but you
person in the
actually said
chair,
that we are considering, trying to
Right.
get a new building.
yeah, I did try to point out the different alternatives that have been looked at, and even some of the history with the DEP, only because that plays a big factor in what we can and can't do.
Correct.
So,
Yes. Yes. And I mean, of course, what we're talking about in building a new building is a whole new site,
yeah.
likely. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. Charlene DeCalagero, move to accept the director's report as submitted. Can I get a second?
I will. Lynette Wheeler will second.
Lynette Wheeler seconds. All who approve by roll call, Charlene DeCalagero. I approve. Gina Mitchell.
I approve.
Lynette Wheeler.
I approve.
The director's report is accepted and approved. Financial report. Bob, back to you.
Okay, well, there has not been a lot of spending. So I don't have too much to report. Charlene and I talked earlier, and I finally made the change with assist from Charlene on the percentages so that they do show up now. And I did add the second state aid payment that was received on March 27th onto the additional income in the spreadsheet. I only did 2 warrants, I think, in April. Only one of them was on the larger side. We didn't purchase any new materials other than those that were already previously ordered. So they fell into the essential buying category. One thing that they talked about in terms of the 20% or nearly 20% of our appropriated funds being spent on materials for the state aid report this year, they're going to consider just spending up until March, because they realize that most libraries were not doing much, if any, spending after that because we're all closed. So that's going to be an adjustment to the normal formula. So still working to make sure that we make our mark there. And I'll have to talk to Ron, the treasurer of the Friends, because a portion of their spending on the museum passes and items like that factors in, and it can be an important factor in making sure we hit the amount that we need to. Other than that, I don't see us, until the end of the fiscal year. I don't have any large expenses coming up. Usually that's the money being spent is on materials as much as possible to make sure we hit our mark. Unless something comes up that we need, that's an emergency or essential spending. And the only things, the regular costs are things like our bill for Spectrum that we just pay monthly. So nothing, no large outlays.
Mhm. Okay. Anyone have any questions for Bob about the financial report? I have one, but I will wait.
Nope. I'm good.
The only question, I mean, Millen, maybe kind of, it might affect the Friends more, but like when it comes to passes and stuff, do we get those at a educational or GSA rate?
We do. There's a special library rate for the museum passes. And
Oh, excellent.
we share some of them with Boylston.
Oh,
So
good.
there are 6 passes, for example, the Museum of Russian Icons.
Hmm.
And we split the price and we each get 3. So
Oh,
that has worked out very well for that. Ecotarium also, we share the passes for that. So it works out well. And the Friends provide for those passes.
Great.
But yes, we do get a special rate for those.
oh, good.
Okay, I will allow myself to ask a question. So I'm trying to think about the what sort of special things might be happening that we might want to budget for. So at the point where we are, opening up, whether it's a first stage or whether it's just opening up or whatever it is, I'm wondering if we should send out a mailing, do a like a flyer and mail it out to people or some little thing.
Right.
Maybe it'll be a little report of how we've been doing, how our staff has been doing. Our people love our staff. We should tell them
Yeah.
how they've been doing and what they've been doing during the pandemic, and this or that. We expect to open on such a date. Check this website and this Facebook page just to make sure. But
Right.
so it might be a nice thing to think about. I don't know how soon we'll be doing it.
I'm hoping that the town will have a plan to have the buildings all cleaned.
Okay.
They were talking about it today in terms of the town meeting, because there'll still be social distancing at the time of the town meeting.
Right.
So, I'm trying to follow guidelines specific to libraries, what we need to do, but I'm also hoping the town will take responsibility to have the building professionally cleaned. But I don't know how that's going to go yet.
Right.
In terms of a mailing, the only issue I would have is the cost. I don't know if I can spend the money on it.
Mhm.
We might do something as an alternative where we've been doing everything in video conference. We could maybe make a video and just make it available.
I do have iMovie to put stuff together if anybody wants to.
Oh, a professional job.
Yes.
Okay.
So
That's just a thought, because the mailings are expensive.
Yes, they are.
And unless we can do it as part of the town clerk's regular mailing, if it's a brief thing, sometimes she can include it with her mailing of the census, but I guess we're past that now.
Yeah, probably.
One of the questions I had, because I don't know if it's something, because it's still in the air, if we're going to have to budget for it or if the town might. A lot of places when they reopen, because not everybody wears a mask and follows the rules, they tend to have a few on site that they can hand out. And as far as where we would be able to get that,
Yeah.
would it be from the town stockpile because we're a town building, or would we have to purchase them themselves through our own budget?
Right.
Because it is something we might have to have available for patrons when they come in.
Right. I know that the Bolton Library is planning to install a plexiglass, like you're seeing in all the stores now.
Yep.
So I don't know. That may be something that our highway department can do for us. These are a lot of questions that we'll have before we open up.
Yeah, unfortunately, plexiglass is more expensive than you think it is. I was shocked.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Well,
that's just
it's an idea.
Yeah.
Well, if they're reopening things, is it still going to be mandated to wear the masks?
It could
Like
be.
if we're in that phase.
Yeah, all the way through to new normal, we're supposed to have them up until the new normal part when we're gonna have our new status quo.
Yeah.
It definitely could be. I mean, I've been listening to the governor's
Yeah.
daily
I've
brief.
been trying to listen to the governor every day, but I probably missed some things.
I know like the airlines have them, and a few other places I went did have the masks available if people didn't have them on.
Right.
Where we're so late in the game, I don't know that we'd be able to purchase the paper masks, but I do know a bunch of people here in town that are making them that would probably either donate to the library, which we could in
Yeah.
turn,
I have
donate
2 that were gifted to me from
or,
the town.
you know, ask for a donation to the library versus, selling them at the
Yeah.
library. We should have cloth masks.
Well, I know more of the paper ones are getting manufactured, and you are starting to be able to get them a lot more. They're more readily available.
Right. Good discussion. I think we'll end here, but I think hopefully, Bob, that gives you some ideas of things to look into between the library discussions and the town discussions.
Right.
So yeah, I think to the extent that there can be some kind of consortium, whether it's the town buys for all the departments or what,
Right.
or something else, that sounds
Right.
good. I guess I need to move to accept the financial report?
Yep.
We didn't do that yet, right?
Not yet. Nope.
Okay. So I'm going to
Go ahead.
move. I, Charlene DeCalagero, move to accept the financial report. Can I get a second?
I will second. Lynette Wheeler, second.
Net Wheeler seconds. Roll call. Charlene DeCalagero, I in favor of approving the financial report. Jean Mitchell,
In favor of approving the report.
Lynette Wheeler,
In favor of approving.
unanimously approved. Thank you. Okay, what's next? Okay. Old business, septic replacement progress and next steps.
Right.
Great.
So,
So it looks like he
you wanted
he
to
has
say-
submitted the plan
okay,
as of today, and he's just waiting to hear when they can meet.
okay, and submitted to the board of, the Berlin Board of Health or whom?
The Neshoba Board of Health.
Neshoba.
Well, I guess both. I'm sorry.
Okay, Neshoba and
By
Berlin.
extension, Neshoba. Yes.
Okay. So he's waiting to hear when they're going to meet
When they can meet. Yes.
or when they can discuss it or
Yeah.
when we're on the agenda. Okay, great.
He also did ask either Margaret or myself to post something in the newspaper.
Yes.
There are the abutters, I'm sorry, something has to be sent to the abutters indicating that this is being done.
Yep.
So it seems to me it is more appropriate for Margaret to do that. 'Cause,
Right.
they actually, I think, hire the contractor to do the work or company to do the work. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I haven't heard back from Margaret since he sent the email this morning. So I'll touch base with her and see how she wants to handle that.
Okay.
Yeah, she would just send the legal notice to the newspaper and pay the
Right.
column inch, whatever it comes out to be.
Right.
Okay. So the action is that Bob is gonna talk to Margaret about what has to happen.
Yeah, I think that already happened. Isn't that in the email you forwarded, Bob?
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah,
That's what the next steps are. Did you see the email that came through today?
I
Yeah,
may not have had time.
Okay.
Yeah, I just sent it after I talked to you, Charlene.
Oh, okay. So
I only realized then that you weren't copied on it.
Okay. Okay. So you've talked to Margaret. So what's the next step at this point?
I think that we're just waiting now to hear when we can be on the agenda.
Yeah, I think
Right.
Evan will
About that.
know hopefully when they meet, and possibly we may attend the meeting. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
And then if just confirmation that the notice that was typed up did get published in the paper.
Paper, yes.
okay. Okay, anything, so that's, I mean, essentially, we're talking, we've touched on the Berlin Board of Health and Neshoba Board of Health for just moving the project forward. In item number 2, we also have the request for deadline extension. And Jean, I think I saw you had
Yes.
sent out an email about that.
Yes, I unfortunately, I was late sending it out. We had a family member unexpectedly pass away from COVID.
Oh, how awful.
Um,
Oh,
I'm
no.
sorry.
Yeah, my
Sorry to hear
mother-in-law.
that.
It was very sudden. We were not at all prepared, so it's been a crazy few weeks. I did CC all parties involved with the action items we requested, and I'm just waiting for their response.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's sort of in process.
Correct.
Great. Okay, and I'm very sorry to hear that news, Jean.
Thanks.
So draft 3, draft article for special town meeting request to push sunset provision, which I think was also in your email. Is that right? Or was that a different thing?
That was something else.
Okay, so this piece is the article, the money, the $100,000 that we got approved from the town has a sunset clause for
Yep.
actually doing the work on the septic. It's not super urgent because it sunsets a year from next month, but it is definitely something we do not want to forget.
Okay.
So, and my sort of comment in the agenda is it may make sense to ask for a sunset clause that lines up with the extension date. We want to do it way before that date,
Yes.
is my understanding, but it just for like sanity's sake, you may want to put those, ask for the deadline to line up with that Neshoba Valley.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on any of the septic replacement progress and next steps section?
I just have a question. The email that you're referencing, Charlene, is that something that was supposed to be sent to all of us? Because I didn't get anything from Jean.
No, I only sent it to, it was Bill Brookings, Paul McKelk, and Margaret, just about as far as like the status and what the next steps would be. And then I was going to report back, and I know Charlene and Bob had asked me to CC them. That's all it was, but I can CC you on the rest of the stuff.
That would,
Okay, yeah, I have no idea what you guys are talking about because I didn't get it to begin with.
Yeah, it was something I was gonna just do and report back on. That's why I hadn't CC'd you, but I'll just make sure you're on everything because it just saves stress.
yes, good, thank you. Okay, great. So I think we have addressed all of that. Things are moving along, which makes me happy. So B, long range plan report updates. Bob, over to you.
What?
Okay, we're talking about the long-range plan now?
The long range plan report.
Report, yeah. Well, I am still working on that. It's not completely finished yet.
Okay, do you need anything from us?
It's probably apparent that I haven't picked it up for a few days. So no, I think I have all the information that I need. It's just a matter of putting it together in the way that they they would like to see it presented.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. Any comments or questions, Jean?
I just had a quick question, just because I wasn't part of all this when it all started. Has anyone ever thought of like separating into a children's library and an adult library?
You mean physically in this building?
Well, like the building now would be
Right.
like the adult library, and then maybe another site would be the children's library, so they wouldn't be in the exact same building. They would be separate buildings, kind of like separate entities.
We would still face,
I don't know. I think that's a first.
we would still face all the ADA struggles too, though.
Well,
This building still would need,
correct, for the adults,
Yeah.
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 even for children, there's kids that have disabilities. I've got one of them.
Well, no. What it would be is like the new building would be the children's museum, and then the children's library,
Yeah.
and it would it would be new, so it would be ADA compliant. But I
Right.
just didn't know if anyone had ever thought about splitting them.
What you're saying, Gene, is, that's a big drawback to our library, that we can't have all of our children's in YA and juvenile fiction all together.
Yep.
That's how most libraries would obviously prefer to have it. But we just don't have the space for that. So if we did renovate this building at the end of the day, that would definitely be one of the goals, to get that done.
Yeah.
Because, parents with, and Lynette knows this with her family, it's, you've got to be on 2 different floors with your family, for everybody to be covered. So, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think you
Oh
prefer
yeah,
all
definitely.
together. Yeah.
I think 2 buildings would be just.
Yeah, 2 separate buildings. Yeah, I don't know if anybody that does that.
I'd have to go to 2 libraries. Right now, I
Right.
can go to 1 library, take care of myself and my kids. I don't want to go to 1 to do myself. And then, because if you had an adult library, I think most adults that would go there would expect there to not be kids. So that means now I have to find a sitter to go to my library.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be a unique situation.
Yeah. I think as a practical matter, I know of no town that has that. In one sense, the other sense, really, the answer is that's school libraries. So, which we should be supporting school libraries. Those are the children's libraries, and many of them are woefully underfunded, understaffed, and we should support that. But of course, those only function when schools are open, and sometimes only a very small fraction of when the schools are open.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
I
know
was-
of no city or town where they actually have an exclusive children's library building. And I think the budget and the staffing of that, I think that the issues are certainly obvious for a small town.
Yeah, well, no, the reason why I had asked was thinking of the Acton Children's Museum, where it's a retrofitted Victorian house.
Right.
If that were made as like a children's library / something, if we couldn't afford like a big awesome building, it would just give you an option that you could retrofit a house in town to fit that purpose, and use kind of like the model they did with the Acton Children's Museum to be able to expand it later on.
It's like a branch library that focused on children's.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
No, I understand. Okay, well, that's food for thought. So anything else on the long-range plan report? Anybody, any other questions? Okay, let's move on. FY20 proposed cuts changes. Now, Bob, you in your report, I think you focused on FY21, right?
A little bit of both.
little bit of both. Okay, I heard it as FY21, so I'm less clear on
Yeah, that's mainly what,
taxes of FY20, which is almost over.
yes. Margaret, I believe she's meeting with Financial Committee tomorrow. And she has made her recommendations. So that's what she discussed primarily with us at the department head meeting this morning.
Okay,
Um, And then I believe I mentioned that we're not being cut as much in our expenses.
right.
But the wages we will be cut. So there will be no cost of living increase.
But that's FY21.
Yes,
So I'm talking
Yes.
about FY20.
FY20.
Yes.
FY20, we're just concerned now with what we can spend, essential spending.
And how has that been defined?
Well, that's a good
I have-
question. There is a form. You know, we have a form for that. And if you have to spend on something that it isn't immediately apparently clear that it is essential spending, then you will have to justify it by filling out the form, and it will have to be approved. And you will have to not make the expenditure until after you go through this process. But in terms of defining it, there's just so many variations of things that could possibly end up being essential spending that I don't think they tried to define it. They just left it open to this process for
Okay.
them to determine.
Okay. So have you submitted any of those forms?
Well, the last warrant, the last two warrants, I mean, any spending I do now has to be considered essential. But I didn't go through the process because they were regular monthly bills such as Spectrum, or
Right.
they were things that we had already previously ordered that we were obliged to pay for anyway.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So they were already encumbered or whatever.
usually at this time of year, all I'm thinking about is spending and spending the entire appropriation in the budget. And this year, it's just trying to determine what other essential spending that we have.
Right. So along those lines, first, does anybody have any questions about the FY20 budget? Okay, so my question is, are people requesting new electronic materials that we don't have?
Not specifically, no. No.
Okay,
I think the only the regular requests we get in terms of electronic books specifically is there's not enough copies in the system.
right,
So people have to wait. There's a long wait.
right,
So when I do make purchases, I try to focus on those items that our patrons have been waiting the longest for.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I haven't had too many specific requests for items or
Okay,
any particular subject material or what have you.
right, okay. And one little question. You said that you'd been getting calls to renew cards? Renew
Yeah,
library cards?
I mean, not a ton, but it's been a service that if no one was here, I don't know. Yeah, we
Right.
wouldn't necessarily, a lot of people will call, maybe they wouldn't send an email. If they send an email, then we know they're gonna get covered eventually when we get the email, but some people will call, and if there's nobody here, they'll just assume, oh, the library's closed.
Right,
This week I had a call from a retiree who goes to Arizona. She came back, and it was actually a good conversation because she was telling me about what they're doing in Arizona vis-a-vis what we're doing here, because she thought maybe we were still able to do the curbside
I
service
know.
or deliver books to homes, and which is what they were doing where she was.
Right, Arizona, yeah.
Unfortunately, I had to inform her that we weren't able to do that. So.
Correct. Right. So my question, the reason why I asked the question actually was, are you actually mailing people cards or just giving them the number?
Oh, usually it's just they need to renew it. I haven't made any new
Okay.
library cards.
Okay.
Yeah. But we could make new library cards. We could give them the number and then they could pick up the card when we're open. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Great. So we've touched on FY20, FY21 budget proposed cuts, changes, percent town cuts versus library cuts. We already touched on that. Is there anything else you want to say about that, Bob?
No, I will keep you posted when Margaret meets with the financial committee. And then we'll see the budget
Okay,
that they come up with.
okay, okay, good. Okay, E, planning to reopen. We also sort of touched on that in the sense that, you know, you talked about you're going to be talking with these other libraries about how they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me because the libraries you named are much larger buildings.
Right.
So I can imagine them doing phased openings.
Right.
Yes, we have 2 floors, but I still can't imagine how we could possibly, I mean, if what they're talking about is like, we're going to open this part of the building, but we're going to keep this other part closed. I kind of can't imagine us doing that.
Yeah.
Unless we just don't open the children's room. So do you know if that's what they're thinking?
Well, I know that the 18th was given as a date for people to start to reopen, but I don't think it's across the board. It just depends on what type of business you're in. I mean,
Right.
since we are the most obvious place that's completely open to the public, it's kind of why we're here.
Right.
Then it's going to be, you know, imperative for us to make sure that we do everything we can or do everything we're required to do.
Right.
So we may have a phased opening just for that reason. We may do, you know, we may go back to doing the curbside pickup first. You know, this is something that I've been going over with other libraries and directors in other towns, and also attending these workshops that the MBLC and other Mass Library System have been offering. So the discussion has gone all over. And it's what you said about the size of the library does make a big difference in how their plan is going to reopen.
Right.
It wouldn't be the same for us as it would be for Springfield. So yeah, there's a lot to think about before we can totally reopen. So I think the phased opening just gives you time to at least be operating, and then, you know, you just keep making steps until you're all the way there.
Is the MBLC or the libraries represented on the governor's reopening committee?
Yes, they are.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, I mean, they'll be following the governor's statements on reopening, and then making recommendations to the cities and towns.
Okay.
So I hope it will be a one, you know, more of a one step thing than every municipality kind of doing its own thing, but some of the things are unique to the community.
Right. Right. And our facility is very challenged in that area.
Yeah.
So, other questions on planning to reopen? I have a question, Bob.
Okay.
Has there been discussion about when the materials that we have out are going to be due? Because I know there was a point where it was like May 1, and I assume that got pushed off, or I'm in big trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's everybody. We can adjust the dates, open and close dates in the system. So, I mean, hopefully there won't be any issues. I mean, there's probably going to be some, but in terms of you're being billed for books that you took out, you know, 3 months ago, no, I don't think, and nothing like that is going to happen. I mean, I don't think it's anything anyone needs to worry about. Put it that way.
I am being mostly facetious.
Yeah.
I assume I would have gotten an email telling me the new due date.
Yeah, no, and they discourage, you know, we completely sealed off our box so that
Right.
people wouldn't be dropping things in.
Right. Yeah.
Because we have to figure out how to handle how
Right.
we're going to clean the material.
Exactly.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of discussion about that too.
Right.
I started to get emails from a lot of companies that are offering devices for cleaning the material. So
No.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
yeah. Well,
It's
I mean, I think if you're in a really big library,
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I can see that. Yes, but I am sure you will be well informed about what makes sense and what doesn't.
right.
the webinar on Thursday that I'm gonna do actually goes over some of those things.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Cool. Okay. Anything else on planning to reopen before we move on to new business? Hearing nothing, let's move on to new business. Virtual Libraries Legislative Day is tomorrow, 10 a.m. I included the link, so if you would like to go, you can register. They do ask you to register. I am registered. Bob is
I
registered.
registered.
So I believe it's the sort of the program, which is sort of what are we advocating for and how to advocate will be, I think, an hour. Is that right, Bob?
Something like that. They sent an email today
Okay.
with the link and also an agenda
Great.
and who is speaking and how long. And
Right. Right. I don't know about you, but by the time I got that information, I wasn't primarily thinking about who I could go get to also advocate.
right.
But I certainly will do, some advocacy tomorrow. And what we might, depending on sort of what gets discussed, we might ask people to make calls and send emails, although I guess people aren't mostly, like legislators probably aren't mostly in their offices, or I don't even know.
No,
I
it's a
don't
lot
either.
of email. A lot of
Yeah.
email.
A lot of
Because
email.
they answer those remotely and their staffers are still
Right.
active, because I've sent a lot of stuff to several folks, all via email.
Okay.
Hmm.
So probably what we should be doing after this thing tomorrow, Bob, is emailing the friends. So emailing Pat and I forget who else, some information and get that distributed to the friends so that
Okay.
they could do some advocacy too, at the least. Anything else on Virtual Libraries Legislative Day? I'm gonna have to like make myself a nice lunch to like make it feel like Libraries Legislative Day.
Maybe you can. Maybe they'll send out some box lunches.
Right. I'm gonna get a box and put my lunch in it.
Yeah.
It's not the same without the fries from the top
It
floor.
totally is.
No.
Yeah, well, or just the chips or whatever. The chips and the pickles. I think I have pickles. Anyway, all right. So we've covered that. I put this on the schedule just because the date's on my calendar, but I assume the Friends book sale and garden tour
Yeah.
will be
I
canceled.
spoke with Pat Smith today,
Oh, good.
and they're going to make a decision by June 1st about the garden tour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They just,
then it's
they
not
figure
full.
if they haven't decided anything by then they'll probably have to call it off. But
Right.
but they wanted to have a deadline to make a decision. So apparently
So
it's
they're
June
going to
1st.
decide.
The book sale was supposed to be June 6th, but that will not be happening on June 6th.
Right. Garden tour on June 1. So the book sale canceled. That breaks my heart. But obviously the right thing to do.
We're all in the same boat.
So they say.
I mean, with other
I'm
libraries.
going to have to bake myself some brownies.
Yeah.
Book
Why
sale,
not?
are we,
Okay.
are we canceling the book sale, or is it just postponed? Maybe till later in the year?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hopefully we can have one later in the year. But we usually do too.
Yeah. Well, we'll hope. Okay, anything
Yeah,
else?
last year it was combined with summer reading. I think we had the people came from Unicorn Bookstore.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're
yeah.
actually open, Silver Unicorn.
Yeah, they're doing curbside.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Mm.
Okay.
Yep, you can call and they'll tell you what they have in stock. They're
Yeah.
they're ordering stuff if you want a certain book. And
I
they're
think
doing
Tatnack
curbside.
is also open.
They're doing local delivery as well.
Okay. Good. All right. Any other questions on that topic? Okay, moving right along. We have a little less than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
ADA accessibility site visit, we already discussed that. There are, as far as I know, no action items, right, Bob?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, trustees' concerns. Hopefully you all got the email I forwarded with the virtual trustee orientations that are happening this month. Jean, are you planning to attend one of them?
I'm doing the one this Thursday.
Right.
This
Actually,
Thursday
by
night.
region, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the best one, if you can do it, is to attend the Central Mass one.
Okay.
Okay, whatever that is. But, you know, ultimately, they'll have a lot of the same material. Lynette, are you going to be able to go?
Yeah, I didn't realize that they're for different
Mhm.
areas. The one that I got just gives you 3 dates to pick from. And the only
Exactly.
one
Okay, well, we have quorum, so we can keep going. So where the heck were we? What were we discussing?
The trustee orientations.
Yeah.
So Lynette was saying she didn't realize they were for different areas.
Yeah, because in the email, there was one email and it has 3 different dates on it. And it was just the same thing, but offered at different times.
Right, and then I think when you click on that, it tells you it's for different regions.
Oh, okay.
I think, because I did notice it at some point. I don't think I registered for any of them because I have been to previous orientations. They're really good, and some people do go multiple times. So, you know, I highly recommend going. And essentially, when Lynette gets back or when she sees this recording, she'll see it's like, yes, in an ideal world, go to the Central Mass, but really any of them will be helpful.
Yep.
So anyway, let's get back to the agenda. Here we are. No, come back. Okay. So, okay. So we covered virtual trustee or recruited trustee. There's Lynette. Hi, Lynette.
Hello.
Bumped off. We all got bumped off.
I just texted you, Charlene. You don't have to respond.
Okay, thanks.
I was like, what do we do?
We're all
good.
back
We're good.
now.
We were like right on it. We are not. So yes, we were just saying, Lynette, that yes, they are, you know, there will be sort of some material that will be oriented towards a specific region, but any of them will be valuable. So if you're already registered for one and you can't do the Central Mass one, don't worry about it. Just go. It'll be, I believe, worthwhile. I got a lot.
Yeah, I didn't realize because it just says like the date
Yeah.
and the link. It didn't say. I didn't see where it said which library, but yeah, the only one I can do is at night because my kids have Zoom
Right.
meetings
Which
during
is,
the day.
which is great. Do that. Do what you can do.
I'll be at the Thursday one.
Great. So you will, yeah. I mean, they're very good presenters generally, and I've gotten a lot out of it. Okay, so to our last item, we have made very good time. So recruiting write-in trustee candidate. Bob, are you hearing anything? Have you got any queries?
Unfortunately, I am not hearing anything, no.
Okay, so each of us needs to kind of get on that and be posting on our Facebook pages and,
I mean, it's even more difficult than it usually is just because I'm
No,
not seeing anyone, so.
Yeah.
I know. I know Tiffany Rule had expressed interest at one point. I don't know what her life is like now. I mean, you know, not only are you not seeing people, but everybody's lives are different. Some people may be less busy. Some people may be more busy. I am in the more busy camp. But yeah, it's really important that we be reaching out because, as you may remember, write-ins have to tell Eloise that they want to run write-in. So I will certainly, you know, email my own co-housing communities and say, hey, this is a great, you know, opportunity to serve the community and our library. We've got at least 2 people in the community who have been library trustees, like people in our little village. Yeah, I mean, another thought is maybe to I'm pretty sure I have Evie Dueck's email, and I know she's a past trustee, or at least I think she is.
She was a past trustee, yes.
Yeah, so she might have people to recommend.
Hmm.
So I really would love to have somebody elected at the June 29th town elections.
Right.
So, and I know you'll love it even more than I will.
Yes, yes, I will.
So, so let's make that a priority. So it's an action item for all 4 of us, really. I can contact Evie unless you want to, Bob.
I can. She lives right down the street.
Okay, why don't you do it?
Thank you.
That would be lovely.
She was here today, in fact. I'm in Beacon.
Great. So, contact Evie. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else, who are some people who would have, you know, ideas. Maybe Bob Blair, speaking of the Council on Aging. Bob Blair. Who else?
I wonder if we could maybe put something up like down at Northbrook Village near the mailboxes.
I don't know that they have anybody moving in yet. Do you?
Well, no, not the new
Not
Rockwell. This
new.
is where the
Right.
retired folks are. They
Right.
have kind of a mix of ages. It's not just elderly people that live there.
It's an over 55 community.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, okay. So Northbrook Village, Meadowbrook. I can certainly ask Judy, who lives in Meadowbrook. If she has any suggestions.
Does anyone know Linda Yates?
Is she on Sawyer Hill Road? She's on the Friends, isn't she?
I forget where she lives, but her and her husband are regular patrons, but she's actually retired recently and is doing some volunteer work. I
She'd
can
be a
ask,
great
I can ask Sarah. She did do a story time with Sarah, and she's helped out with some volunteerism. She joined the Friends group.
Yeah,
recently.
I do know who you're talking about too. And I think she's on Sawyer Hill Road, not far from me.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, could you have Sarah ask her? That would be great.
That just occurred to me now. I don't know why it didn't occur to me before, but yeah.
Yeah. It sometimes.
I think because I just saw her recently. She was out for a walk with her husband. And just from a distance, we talked about the library a little bit. I think that was a couple of days ago, but I didn't really think to ask her about the trustee.
Yeah. I do think buttonholing specific people is generally going to be more effective. So I think Linda is a terrific idea.
Yeah. Well, if you just happen to see her, and I will ask Sarah to contact her.
Yeah, please do. So great. So I'm going to ask Judy if she has suggestions. Lynetta's going to ask Evie. Jean, do you know Bob Blair?
No, I don't.
Okay, because he is I think he might be the chair of the Council on Aging.
Oh, wait a minute. I did talk to him once because I was going to do a presentation for them for my other life.
I think you can contact, you could probably find a contact. Oh, actually, you know what? It's on that email that we just got about
Yes.
the 2 meetings.
Yep.
So if you could contact him and say, do you have any suggestions for somebody who might want to run for library trustee? I think we can get this done. You know, and that would be awesome. Okay, great. Okay, we have no executive session planned. So unless anybody has any other comments, I'm going to move to adjourn this meeting. So quickly, anybody want to make any other comments?
I will keep you posted as I get more information.
Great. Okay, so I move to adjourn this meeting. Can I have a second? I, Charlene DeCalagero, move to adjourn this meeting. Lynette Wheeler.
I second.
And roll call, all in favor. Charlene DeCalagero in favor. Jean Mitchell.
In favor.
Lynette Wheeler.
In favor.
This meeting is adjourned. It's a little before 7 p.m. Thank you
6:54.
all. 6:54.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank
Thanks.
you. You too. Stay well.